Hi everybody, Bill Owen from mmPCtech.com. How you doing? I'm back in the workshop today because I've got another case review to share with you. The Phanteks Enthoo Luxe. Now, if you're a subscriber to my channel, a few weeks ago I posted a review of the Enthoo Pro, which is the second case that Fantex has released. First it was the Enthoo Primo. The Luxe is the third case to hit the market, and it shares the same chassis as the Pro. However, the exterior is a bit different. It's more feature enriched for your own customization purposes. It's got RGB lighting around the exterior that you can sequence through 10 different color settings. So let's say, for example, you're going to have a gigabyte sniper board with the green anodized accents on it and green compression fittings for your water cool loop. Well, wouldn't you want to have your exterior illuminated green? Well, maybe not, or some other color. Also from Fantex, you can get an additional RGB strip and connect it on the inside so both your interior and exterior can illuminate in colors. So that's the big difference. Also, the top cover on the Luxe versus the Pro is taller, so you can put fans actually above the chassis under the cover. So that gives you a bit more space for push-pull configuration radiator or having a much thicker radiator in the ceiling of the case. We can actually do a little comparison because I happen to have the Enthoo Pro still here that we're using for the Modzu's Guide to PC Water Cooling series right back there. So let's just do a little side-by-side comparison of the two. Now, before we do a full tour of the Enthoo Luxe, let's just do a comparison of it to the Enthoo Pro. The Enthoo Pro is a little bit stripped down on the exterior. They both share the same chassis layout and sizing, but the Pro is a bit more basic. It has a plastic front bezel and plastic top cover with simulated aluminum grain finish. The grille is integrated into the top cover. It's not a separate removable piece, where with the Luxe you can actually remove the top grille filter very easily. And the top cover is taller, allowing you to, if you want, relocate a fan from the ceiling to this area up here. So you could have a push-pull config for your exhaust fans with a radiator, or you can use a much thicker size radiator. Also, the big difference on the Luxe is the exterior is illuminated. There is 4 independent RGB light strips, and you can control the 10 program colors by pushing this button right here. And here's the power button right there. And in the front bezel you can remove this plate on the Luxe if you want, and there's a removable plastic filter on the back side of this. And the Luxe has a 1mm thick steel trim or exterior piece on both the bezel and the top cover, where the Pro is all plastic. It's just a more basic design. So for about $50 more, you get that nicer exterior, and you get the water pump mounting base included with an additional SSD removable tray. There's 2 included with the Luxe, versus with the Pro you only got 1 SSD tray. So anyways, let's just do a tour of the Luxe so you can see what exactly is included. Let's first look at the front of the Enthoo Luxe. You have 3 5¼ bays because the top one is a stealth front I/O panel with 2 USB 3.0 and 2 USB 2.0, microphone, headphone, reset button, and then this button here is for the RGB lighting, which you can cycle through 10 different colors. Now, a big difference again between the Luxe and the Pro is that it has a much bigger front bezel and top cover. Also, the bezels, which are removable, have a thin metal exterior piece on it, and over the 5¼ bays as well. Top panel as well, and the power button is up on top and illuminates to match the color of whatever RGB color you choose with the small button. Access panel on the Luxe has polycarbonate smoked window. This is cast, and there is metal tabs on the back side that hold it in place for both windows. So they are removable if you want to do your own custom window. However, it's going to be a bit tricky making the small slotted holes for the tabs, so you'll have to rig something. There's some nice feet on it all the way around. Taking a look at the other side. Yay! It's a blank panel. I will say this, is that the finish is a nice gloss white, and I don't see any dimpling or cracking in the paint, so it's very nicely applied from the factory. Moving around to the back side of the Enthoo Luxe, the first thing that I notice is that the top panel of the chassis is screwed on and not pop riveted. This is really nice because if I want to do a custom paint finish to the chassis, I can dismantle everything without having to drill out pop rivets. So I really like that. Now look at the top cover here, and I've got a 15mm thick 140mm fan. If you can see this, you got that much more space now to put 3 fans on top of the chassis, which is great. And that's the big difference between the Luxe and the Pro. The Pro doesn't allow that. There is a 140mm factory fan included, pre-installed, and if you notice, which I like seeing too, is these slotted mounting holes. And this allows you to position the fan, whether it be a 140 or a single 120 in the back here, to match the airflow stream from your CPU heatsink fan combo. Because I know a lot of people are still air cooling out there, and if you're looking at the high-end heat sinks like the ones from Fantex that have a fan that draw air from the front of the case through the fins to another fan on the back of the heat sink, then out, this will allow you to match up to your airstream versus just one static fan mounting position. There is 8 PCI slots, and each one of the covers is powder coat black finish, which is nice and vented. There is a rear reservoir mount back here, the same as the Enthoo Pro and the Enthoo Primo, and your power supply location. And there's a filter for your power supply, which is made from a durable ABS plastic and a fine mesh screen, so it should last for several years of usage. Looking at the top of the Enthoo Luxe, power buttons right here, and again, when you've got a specific color in the RGB lighting chosen, the ring around the power button is the same color. There's a top removable grill filter, and this is really nice and durable. There's a fine mesh screen in here, round perforation, and this is probably about 1/4 inch thick ABS plastic, nice and durable. A second 140mm fan is included from Fantex, so you get 2 140s and a 200mm intake fan, 3 fans included with the Luxe. You can mount 3 120s in the top or 3 140s, also 360 size radiator or a 420 triple 140 size radiator, or you can put your single H80 or whatever all-in-one radiator in the top too if you want. You can also put a 200mm fan in the top as an exhaust if you're going all air cool system. And the 5 1/4 bay column is screwed in just like the top panel, so you can remove that bay column if you're not going to use drives, and you can have room for your larger size radiators, or you can have a second 200mm exhaust fan mounted in the top, but you will have to drill additional mounting screws for that. There is options for additional air intake fans in the floor or mounting a 240 size radiator. There's a screen here similar to the power supply one, ABS plastic with a fine mesh filtered screen. So you can put 2 120 intake fans in the floor, or a 240, or a single all-in-one cooler radiator in the floor if you wish, or a single 140 intake fan in the floor. Also included with the Luxe is a water pump floor pedestal, which is really nice because it has adhesive cushioned backing on the top and the bottom, And with this inside, you can mount it here or here, or however you want, which is pretty nice. Back to the front of the Luxe. In order to remove the front bezel, you're going to need to remove the bottom intake filter screen, so you can access a gap for your fingers here to pull it off. Now it's connected because there's an RGB light strip here and here. There's a total of 4 RGB light strips on the exterior, 2 up on top and 2 in the front. Now there's a, I mentioned this earlier, there's a, it's actually, I measured it, it's 1 millimeter thick steel plate that wraps around the front of the bezel and the top. And if you wanted to paint that individually a different color or something, you can remove it with screws. There's 2 here, looks like 2 here, and then 2 on the bottom here. Also, the front has a filter that's just clipped in from the back side. Same quality as the other filters. And if you want to remove that front plate over the front bezel to help airflow even more, it's screwed on. So Fantex took all this into consideration, that maybe you want a bit more flexibility in your own build for your own needs. And I like that. You know, I can't stand pop rivets. So that reinstalls nicely. Top cover, here's the gap right here. Again, the optical drive bay is screwed in. You can see the screws here. A 200 millimeter intake fan is included with the Luxe. Front fan options, you can put either 2 140s or 2 120s, or a 240 size radiator. And one thing to note is, if you put the 140s in, the 120 mounting holes are slotted like the rear, but the 140 locations are static. They're just permanent right there. But if you put 120s in there, you could move them a little bit, or if you had a 240 radiator, you could slightly move it up or down if needed. We'll remove the top. See, RGBs are plugged in with 2 connections. There's the power button PCB. And taking a look at the top cover. And if you wanted to get inside or dismantle it, there's screws that hold on the second piece of the top cover. So, very well made. Okay, just putting everything back together. Straightforward. Everything's well made. It doesn't feel like from removing it and reinstalling it that pegs are going to break over time. It feels real solid. Yeah, I'm impressed. It's nice. Let's take a tour of the inside. Oh, by the way, the included smoked window, which is a polycarbonate. Here's what I meant about how it's held in, these metal tabs here. And also, the window is cast with a channel in it. There's a lip on the back side of the opening for the window that the window rests upon. So to make your own window, you're going to have to deal with that lip. So it could be a little tricky, but I know you modders are pretty resourceful and inventive. So that's just a look at that. Now with the Pro, the power supply shroud was an option. With the Luxe, it's standard, it's included. There's plenty of cable management grommets, and they're well made so they don't move at all. Even for the additional power supply, CPU connections, there's a couple up here. Everything is nice and clean. That shroud really makes a difference in how things look inside. The logo plate is removable. If you wanted to do something custom, here's a blank canvas space here for doing something custom. The toolless latches for the optical drives. I've looked at these before. They're still the same design. They're well made, durable. You can see the 200 millimeter intake fan right here. You can fit ITX, micro ATX, ATX, extended ATX motherboards in this. There's plenty of space. And included in the accessory box is a mounting plate for an additional reservoir location, cylinder style, and that would go right there. Continuing our tour, the Phanteks Enthoo Luxe to the back side. This is one of my favorite things about Fantex is how much thought they put into the features they've included out of the box for builders. The cable management wire, Velcro straps. There's the stamped cable tie loops. There's a couple here, some over here, one there. There is some black cable ties included with the accessories. But if you need to add more, you've got the loops to mount them. So you can have a super clean layout here. The cable grommets are nice and thick, held in firmly, not going to pop out. Looks like there's a huge gap of space here. 1.5 inches space right here for tucking power supply cables. The power supply shroud is held in with 3 black thumb screws back here. Up here you've got 1 inch of space for routing wires. There is a included fan control hub. This is a SATA power connection. If you use just this connection alone, all the fans are going to run at full speed. You can plug into your motherboard CPU fan header with the PWM signal and control the speed of the fans with this connection if you wish. If you don't, they're all going to run at full speed using this SATA connection. This SATA must be for the RGB lighting. There's 2 hard drive cages. Both are independently removable, held in with thumb screws. I've already removed the thumb screws from this one, so we'll take a closer look. It's a steel cage, and the hard drive caddies are plastic, and you can mount either 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch drives. There's vibration dampening mounting pegs. Out of the box, you can put a total of 6 3.5 inch drives, or if you're going to go with SSDs, you can put 8, including these 2 removable mounting trays here. You can remove both cages if you want to put a 240 size radiator in the front and have a push-pull config fan setup, having 2 fans mounted on the back side of the intake wall, the radiator, and then additional 2 fans on the back side of the radiator. There's enough space there without these cages removed. Also, the thickest 240 size radiator you can put up on the front there without any concern. Now let's say if you're going air cooling, I would remove these 2 cages if you don't need all this data storage space, so it's a less restrictive airflow stream from the front fans. Just take them out. Maybe you're just going to use 2 SDs instead. Let's see, is there anything I missed? I think that about wraps it up. Just a lot of features in there. I like it. I've always liked it since the first time I saw the Enthoo Primo. Inside the accessory box, inside the Luxe, is the plate for mounting an optional reservoir alongside the hard drive cage, optional water pump mounting base, black cable ties and an extra Velcro cable strap, owner's manual, and then this nice plastic container with dividers of all the different screws you need for your system installation. Fantex was kind enough to send me samples of their aftermarket accessories you can order for your Phanteks Enthoo Luxe. An additional PWM fan hub, this retails for $14.99 from Fantex. Y-splitter cable at $2.99. A 2-in-1 SSD tray for $6.99. An additional water pump base, this retails also for $6.99. 1 meter of RGB lighting you can have for the interior of your Enthoo Luxe, and that's $14.99 retail, or you could go to 2 meter length, and that's $19.99 retail. These are all aftermarket accessories you can get direct from Fantex. So to summarize the Phanteks Enthoo Luxe, for fit and finish, overall quality, value for your money, expandability, it's a great case to consider. Especially if you're looking at liquid cooling, either if you're a seasoned veteran or somebody that's going to get into the first time. Maybe you've been watching the Manzu series using the Phanteks Enthoo Pro, and you want to start out just doing a simple loop and maybe expand into a dual loop system. It's a great case for that. You can put a 240 in the front, 240 in the ceiling, or a 360 or 420 in the ceiling. It's got that expandability you can grow into, you know, over time. So for $150, it's a nice case. I like the fact that the majority of the chassis is screwed together versus pop riveted, so if I want to do a custom paint finish on it, I can do that. I can dismantle everything easily without drilling out pop rivets. That's just one of my personal nags that I have. You know, it's a nice case. And I want to thank Fantex for sending the sample. It's always fun to take a look at their stuff. And if you haven't been watching already, we're doing a series using the Enthoo Pro with different liquid cooling builds, starting with a single loop, a dual loop, and triple loop? No. Or if you've done a build with a Phanteks Enthoo Primo or Pro, or plan to with the Luxe when it's available, please post it on our forums at themodzoo.com so we can see your build and hear about it and hear your feedback after you've purchased it. So I want to thank everybody for watching the video. I'll have more videos up soon. We'll have the next installment of the Modzoo's Guide to PC Water Cooling as well. So we'll see you soon.